Remember World War II? War in the Pacific. That's one of the big guns that the American Marines used on the Japanese during World War II in the Pacific. We're gonna be using it on some of those bottles here and discuss more about war, since everybody's been talking about war a lot. So we wanna talk about the consequences of having a war and why we should avoid it. I am astonishing how many people are willing to go to war without even acknowledging the consequences of having a war with another nation. So far, we've been having this conflict happening for about a year now in Ukraine, and I would assume that the United States and along with some other countries would focus more on de-escalating the situation through diplomatic resolution, but this is not exactly what's happening. And in fact, what's happening is more people are fueling it. And it's almost everybody's ready to go to war, but people do not realize the consequences, the amount of casualties. If you ended up going to a war with another nation, what's going to happen? So these are the things that we should give some thoughts about, because especially in big cities, a lot of people are not ready for war. They don't have the stomach for battles. And while we are focusing on so much on that, even the guys that are tough, they don't want to go to war. They don't want to fight. And the United States, I think, should do anything in its capabilities in order to avoid such a conflict, because we're not ready. And many nations, I don't think their population are ready either. It's just the elite that are fueling it. And that's the reason I'm asking everybody to focus more on that, to focus on de-escalate and bring peace to Ukraine. Although some people are saying it's kind of too late, in my personal opinion, it can always get worse and worse. So with that being said, the damage is already done. A lot of people have been dead, and bring peace and rebuild a country is the best way to go about things, rather than fueling it and then eventually have a major conflict and then all the nations are involving, and then we don't have New York City anymore. We don't have some of these big cities in America. So that would be devastated. So it's always time. There's always time to withdraw from the conflict. And that's my personal opinion. And I'm sure a lot of people are completely agreeing with me, and they think it would be a very bad thing for this nation to get involved in a war. It's quite amazing to me when you see other countries are increasing their defense spending and eager to go to war with other nations. And in my opinion, I wonder, the population of those countries, how do they think about that when so many of their leaders are eager to defend a country and then bring victory? And at the end of the day, it's not going to work out well for a lot of those nations. And perhaps America are going to be forced to get involved. And if we get into a war, again, as I mentioned, with other nations, I do not personally believe that the city, some of the American cities, going to remain intact. That's going to be a big no. One thing I'm trying to focus on, if the people of a nation are capable of living peacefully, they go to work, they make ends meet, they put food on the table, and the kids can go to school and become a lawyer, an accountant, whatever, and then they can grow themselves. That's the best of a civilization. If you're not being persecuted, there's no reason that we should eager to go to war with other nations. And that's where we should sort of starting and then grow from there, and then realize that going to a war, it's simply going to be madness. And that's the last resort, and we should not focus on it. So, that's my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of you, especially some of our Ukrainian friends, they're gonna think differently. It's totally understandable, and I'm eager to hear what you guys have to say. And thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.